Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Oh, not so fast, because it's time for Purple Access. Judd Zolgad, Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune sports columnist, Declan Goff, is always executive producing things for us here. Purple Access brought to you by both our friends at Surly Brewing, makes such an outstanding beer, and also TCL TV. If you're not watching these Vikings wins on a TCL TV, I got a suggestion: make a change. Get yourself a TCL TV. Great picture, great quality, more from life. All right, Chip Scoggins, let's just start with it. I haven't talked to you on this show since last week, and certainly want your thoughts on what was one of the craziest, wildest Vikings games that you have probably seen in your years covering this team on Sunday in Buffalo.
Yeah, first of all, we should call this the sick edition, right? The flu edition. We both sound like we're not good.
I've had a cold for like that linger. I've had a cough that has, I'm not kidding you, lingered for like, I don't know, 3 weeks. It's ridiculous.
I know. So if you hear us coughing, that's the reason. They're not frauds anymore, Judd. Can't call them frauds anymore, right? Mm-hmm. They're legit, man. Buckle up. This is, when it was 27-10, if you watched Twitter, you knew what the narrative would be after the game. They haven't played anybody. The record's inflated, blah, blah, blah. And then to see them dig in and make the plays that they made and show the toughness that they did. For entertainment value, as good as you're going to see. Yeah. We talk all the time about how bad the NFL product was. That was the other end of the spectrum there. That was high-level stuff. They're legit, Judd. I mean, they may have flaws sometimes. They may not be their best sometimes, but this team now has a trait of making the clutch play when they need it. And we've seen it in games where against inferior teams when they haven't played that well, but they've made the play. We saw it here in the most dynamic way where they had to make plays against a really good team, and they did. So, I mean, we can stop with the fraud stuff and the record being fool's gold because it's legit.
Yes, which in my opinion is as important to them as us because O'Connell said in his post-game address to the players, which they now put on the team site, which is good stuff because it's intriguing to watch what he actually says to the team. Make no mistake, this win was important to them. Like they heard the questions, they all did, and so like this whole thing of and we always get this, we always believed, no, you've got to pass some points as well. And so I just think organizationally, this was absolutely huge to prove to themselves that they could come back, that they could beat a good team, that they could do it on the road, facing a ton of adversity. And so they aren't frauds. And I think it's incredibly important that they now say, you know what, we are for real. We know it because we did this.
Well, I mean, it's human nature. I'm sure they believe that, yes, they're a good team and the way they were winning and all that, but they're also saying, we haven't played our best and we haven't seen that. And I don't know that was their best because they still made some mistakes, but they left that game with a ton of confidence. Like, holy cow, we just did that, right? We just went into a game. Not only did you go in there and win, which would have been impressive on itself because everybody was pretty much counting it as a loss, but the way you did it, falling behind by 17 and having to come back and make just felt like 500 big plays they needed to make to pull that off. And so, I guarantee you the confidence they gain internally, whether spoken or unspoken or just how they feel about themselves, is different after they left that game.
Where do you put this now at 8-1 season? Because you know what? I know the 2017 was a magic Case Keenum carpet ride, and I know it was special. This, to me, feels more like 2009, personally. Yeah,
because it's unfair to call 17 horseshoe, but it did feel a little bit like, okay, they were getting every break. Now, it did feel like that a little bit this year where you've dodged, Tua. You haven't played your best, but you've won some of these games. Really haven't been hit, knock on wood for them, hard by injuries. And key spots. And so, but this team has talent, Judd, and this is not a fluke. You're seeing really, you think about like there's questions about this defense. Okay, is Pat Peterson old? He's having one of the best seasons of his career, Judd. You can't wait. You think, okay, maybe this is a year where he really kind of falls off the cliff or shows his age. Not at all. Harrison Smith's playing really well. We saw Kendricks. He missed some tackles, but he's playing well. Bradbury has bounced back and played respectable football. So this is not the area of concerns that we had going in, and you weren't sure how they were going to go. They've been better than what we've probably could have imagined. Yes. And so I don't think it was ever an issue of the talent on this. It was the depth. It was the age at certain spots. And so far, that has not been an issue at all.
If I had handed you the box score from this game last week, and I had said, I'm not going to show you the final score, but what I am going to show you, Chip Scoggins, are Kirk Cousins' final stats. Uh-huh. You would have said, oh, that didn't go very well. They clearly lost. And so that's where the whole team thing. And here's the thing too, Kirk, you could say whatever you want, but again, when it was time to make plays, he participated at the very least in making plays. And so that's the other weird thing here. I think we fall so in love, and we're all guilty, but we fall so in love with stats, right? That we just predicate things on stats. Kirk Cousins' play against the Bills was not very good, but they won the game, and you can't say he didn't play a role in that win.
It wasn't good until it needed to be good. I mean, yes. the panicked interception, I thought it was just going to completely unravel for him. He clearly thought he saw a Vikings player, right, and just panicked and threw it when he threw it. So I'm not sure last year or the previous years, because of the tension that he felt on the sideline, if he would have not just come completely unglued and thrown two more and just not played well. But I love that. Yes. But he has been emboldened and made to feel that you can make mistakes. And so, I mean, the throw to Jefferson, 4th and 18, now that's a little bit of a desperation. You got to make a play there. But think about all the plays, the scramble that he had, just the darts that he threw. He does not let mistakes affect the rest of his game for him like we've seen in the past.
And I'm absolutely positively shocked, but credit to him. I am, this is not the same guy in many ways, and it's a better guy. Take your stats and shove them.
I agree. Care about stats. I don't. Now, if he throws 5 interceptions, we'll care about stats. But if he throws 1 or 2, and the second one, it was just the panic throw.
But you got to move on.
You got to move on. I don't think we're going to see that again. That was a brain cramp. Okay. But it was the way he responded and doesn't get down and keeps being aggressive. I think that's the takeaways is he's just showing a resolve or an ability to bounce back from kind of those blunders and not let it affect the rest of his game. And that does feel like a shift to me. And I don't know that he's ever I don't know if he's playing better football in his career than he is right now, and his stats would tell you otherwise, but I don't care about stats.
He's never been this clutch, not even close. It's not even close. He's played better football for Kirk Cousins, but again, that goes to things we don't put a premium on. His personal fans do, but they're not really Vikings fans. So
and he's the thing is like he's made clutch throws before. Go back to the Saints playoff game. I mean, those throws he had to have there. But it's just like consistently every week we're seeing something from him.
Yeah.
It's the consistency of that. You're seeing this now when he gets in those situations where you have like a do or die driver, you got to have something. You just expect that he's going to come through and make the play. Yep. And I think that's the shift for me where you just have I have so much confidence in that he's going to come through now in those situations where in the past you're like, oh gosh, this thing's going to unravel. It just feels like a completely 180.
2018 to 2020, we can list on one hand his clutch throws. The pass to Thielen in Philadelphia in 18 was a beauty. To your point, the 2019 pass, playoffs game, but we can list those on one hand. The last 2 years, I'm going to give him some credit because he did lead some comebacks that were very nice last year. Not like this, but he did it. But you know what? I'm going to give you the perfect parallel to what transpired, I think, with the picks, and especially that second one on Sunday compared to old Kirk, okay? Do you remember the game, was it last year or 2 years ago? The Vikings are in San Francisco, and he's playing great at that time, and he throws a horrible
one, yeah.
It ruined him.
Yeah.
Like he went
yes.
off the cliff there for not just the rest of that game, but for an extended period, it ruined him. That's the difference. Yeah,
I remember that. They didn't return that for a pick six, did they?
No, I don't think so. It was just a bad pass, and it submarined the Vikings. But instead of moving on,
it just came unraveled. Yes. And again, I think that goes back to just the relationship that he has with O'Connell and what O'Connell has done with him in terms of making him feel that mistakes are okay and that being aggressive is the way to go. And it also helps that when you have a wide receiver like Jefferson to stay aggressive, because you know that's going to win more times than not. I mean, Judley, that was an all-timer for a wide receiver. I mean,
best catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, the one catch obviously is, historic, but that just, you watch that game and it felt like a guy who was not going to lose. All the catches he was making and difficult in traffic, taking hits, he was not going to lose that game.
It is, it feels like it's going to be, and I'm not saying it's going to end with a championship, but what feels like it's going to be a special season and is shaping up at 8-1 to be. This is the Greg Lewis play, though. This will be, that catch will be the defining regular season. Now the Favre to Lewis one came in week 3 of 2009. This comes in week 10, but this is the defining catch. This is the one, like, of all of the things, to your point, Chipper, tons of things from that game to go back to and be like, it shifted here, it shifted here, it shifted here. 4th and 18. I went back and watched that catch again about 5 times yesterday. Yeah. And it's an uncatchable ball. Yeah.
Well, I did my football across Minnesota column. I talked to receivers, Chris Carter and Larry Fitz, and a couple of them noted that receiver helped him out, or that safety helped him out by trying to catch the ball too instead of batting it down, because he basically stopped it and allowed Justin to rip it out of his hands. But can you imagine, like, you're falling backwards, you have no control of your body basically, but still have the wherewithal to tuck wrist and pull it away from that guy?
So I will, to a large degree, fundamentally disagree with guys who played the position and were Pro Bowl players, and here's why. The Rashad tip drill pass catch to end the game in 80 at the Met, okay? That's a ball that needs to be batted down. And the Browns player tried to catch it, and he accidentally tipped it. It got caught. But when I go back, because I was going back and saying, did the corner help him? The corner has, he's a grown man. He's a grown-ass man, okay? He's got both hands on that football. And these guys are strong as hell. Justin, his left arm is dangling, so he doesn't have the leverage. He's got one arm, and he's going like this. Yeah. I'm not going to fault a guy too much who has both hands. I mean, the incredible nature.
In real time, you're thinking, I got to catch this ball. You're not thinking probably batting it down.
No, a tip drill, a Hail Mary pass, end zone, bat it down.
Yeah. I just think in that moment where, ball's coming to you, you're going to try to catch it. You're not thinking.
And you're like, he was like this with it.
Yeah. And it is amazing. He was able to control that through the ground, didn't hit the ground. It's nuts. Contorted his body. So,
and tossed the ball because he knew the clock was running and just tossed it to the official.
That's it, Judd. Most guys would be doing cartwheels or signaling. He jumps up and hands it to the official because he had the wherewithal after maybe the greatest catch in NFL history to get line back up.
Yes, I know.
Everything about that was just amazing. That game, it felt like the Vikings lost it 4 times and lost it, won it 4 times and lost it 4 times. The swings of emotion between the Cousins run, sneak, and the Kendricks fumble recovery, and then the play that should have been reviewed and not called a catch. I mean, I think Kevin O'Connell probably died 5 lives in that game. You wonder why coaches age and gray quickly?
Yeah. Like presidents. That's why.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I don't want to hear about luck too, because the Vikings created a ton of you create and Chipper, in 09 with Favre, we saw the same thing. That team had in air quotes luck as well. But you create that luck and maximize it, and so
luck. I mean, they didn't have any luck because the doggone officials didn't call the one review it. That could have cost them the game. And then they had, when Dalvin gets thrown for 3, they got 12 guys on the field. They don't catch that. So it's like they overcame some bad luck too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't get, and I ordinarily don't complain, but they did. Yeah. But between like Hawkinson and Jefferson's jerseys being tugged on, but then the 12 men on the field to completely miss that. Yes, they definitely, again, you go into a hostile environment, you win that game. That is a team that deserved to win then. Yeah,
Buffalo's really good. Just think like the Diggs catch was the second best catch in that game.
I know.
That's a highlight play too. But they're good defensively. They're good. They'll be there at the end probably too. And I know fans are upset with the jersey tugs in the end zone. I do think they let both teams, the cornerbacks, be physical. I'm sure the Vikings got away with some, some physical stuff too. But there's no excuse for not reviewing that one catch. That was so close. I don't know how.
And how do you not count 12 men?
I know. Well, they have one guy specifically that does that, so I don't know if he just miscount or didn't do it or what. But that was it's amazing how the perception of that team changed over the course of the final 30 minutes or 30 plus minutes of that game. Because you go from Judd, what the narrative was going to be. This team's really not that good, and it should the record. And now you go from that to holy cow, they're people are putting them number one in the power polls.
Yeah, and here's what that game did for me. That game legitimately now makes them, in my opinion, a Super Bowl contender.
I think so.
I don't know if I would call them a favorite because you still got the Chiefs. The Bills would be incredibly difficult. The
Eagles, even though they lost.
AFC has some very good teams. And yes, I just think the Vikings can now be grouped with the best of their own conference, which, Vikings, Philly, I think San Francisco's coming.
San Francisco, they're very physical. We saw them here.
They'll kick your ass.
We saw them here for that joint practice. And you're like, man, this team is physical.
I love it.
But after watching the way they battled and played in that game, and really the way they found ways to win, up in it, you're not going to say, wow, no, they're overmatched against. Yeah, Philadelphia did beat them up pretty good there, but Philadelphia also lost the game the other night when they didn't look that good. So it happens. You have to look at the whole thing. So I don't think it's hyperbole or wrong to say to alter the expectations of this team now based on what we've seen. Competitive rebuild, throw that out the window. We're not here. We're not talking competitive rebuild anymore.
Yeah, and O'Connell has done a better job than anyone could have expected. He does set that tone, and he's the guy that's got Kirk. Kirk doesn't change without the right guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I was annoyed with his play calling there in the first half on the 3rd and 1 to throw 2 passes there, and I was like, is that a rookie mistake? Was he just kind of getting caught up in the motion? But man, the way he's called it down the stretch, and particularly just the way he's handled the team.
Yes.
Just giving them this freedom and creating an atmosphere where guys can be themselves and not beating them up all throughout training camp. We were wondering if that was going to be an issue, really not hitting and not tackling and going half speed through all those are like, I remember we talked about, I was like, at some point, this is going to have to be a physical team, and okay, we can put that narrative to bed, he's done a masterful job of really, we talk about culture a lot, but his culture, you can see it, man. I mean, it's real and it's evident.
Absolutely. With Dantzler now on IR, so he's going to miss 3 more games. Yeah. What is your concern about cornerback? Because that is definitely thin, and it didn't appear that Booth, and I know that he was put into a tough predicament after Evans got hurt. It didn't appear that Booth was extremely comfortable. He got taken out, so that would be one with this 3-game stretch that the Vikings are about to embark on, where I think I would be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I am, because they're getting thin there. We'll see what Evans' status here. He's in the protocol, but he's a rookie, so he's still going to have his kind of, even when he's in there.
He did on Sunday. Yeah,
he did on Sunday. So yeah, I mean, that's a concern. You're getting thin there, and I don't know if there's anything they can do on the practice squad to bring guys up, but I mean, you're going to have to scheme around it or figure out a way to help those guys back there. And you're right. I mean, Booth had it. He had his moments, but shoot, he gets thrown in there and put on Stephon Diggs sometimes. I mean,
no question.
I'm not sure I would lose confidence just because that. I mean, Stephon's going to make a lot of people look bad. It's a tough situation for a rookie to go in who hasn't played a whole lot in that environment, and then you face one of the best receivers. So, but it's until they get Dantzler back, it's a concern.
Next 3 games. So you're coming off this big game, and we've seen this before. We've seen it before, Chipper. It's a huge win. It's a great win. It's cliched as hell, but you do have to basically immediately or very quickly turn the page, i.e. 2017, the miracle to Philadelphia. What is your thought? I don't know. Concern's probably not the right word. What is your thought process on this?
Yeah, I'm going to be out there later today. This is Wednesday. I'm curious to see kind of what the tone is. But I do think O'Connell will be good about this, about how he handles it. But I think more than anything is like, you got Patrick Peterson and Harrison Smith and Dalvin Cook and Kirk. I mean, you have guys, leaders who've been through this, who know the business, okay, you have to put that, as great as that was, you got to put it and move on. So I don't think it'll be a problem. I mean, we see it all times, teams come out flat, but this is a big couple days for both O'Connell and those the veteran leaders, seniors. They are seniors.
They are. Pat P is like getting the AARP card in the mail in a couple days.
Senior discount.
Perkins. That's a pretty good deal, by the way.
That's right. But this is a big couple days for them just to kind of recenter, right? And not only like emotionally, but man, I got to imagine we're sitting there think about how much just physical energy that they put on that field and leaving it all on the field. They did. So not only do they have to, I'm guessing he's going to be a couple light practices to get their bodies back, and O'Connell's been great about that. But it's physical and emotional, and just kind of get recentered, and it's hard when you have Royce called it the best regular season game in 62 years of Vikings. So imagine how those guys who were in it felt. And O'Connell said Monday is maybe the most unique game he's ever been in.
Yep.
So you can't just okay, this is just a normal Sunday. It wasn't a normal Sunday.
Right.
But they got to figure out how to get beyond that and get refocused on this week.
And plus, now Chip, you go Cowboys on Sunday. You follow that up with the Patriots on Thursday. So this is going to be the ultimate test in some ways of the mental toughness.
Yeah, and at least you're home for the Thanksgiving one. You don't have to travel, so that always helps the team that's at home. But yeah, it's 2 games in this short a span is like, one, physically just getting as recovered as you can, but 2, just these are a lot of big games in a row. Thursdays or Thanksgiving games always special, and that feels like it has a an extra juice to it when you're playing on that day. So it's fun though. I mean, think about it, just like how much fun this season has been after the misery of the last couple of years, and that team was just just the air around it. I mean, this has been so much fun to have. This it reminds me of '09. It really does.
It does.
Where you just feel like there's something special brewing here.
And that Bills game, I like that. That is, Pat's right. That might be the greatest game I've seen, just as far as entertainment value, the back and forth, a really good team going against you're down 17 points. You're like, okay, they're dead. They're dead. And they come back. And you know what? Dalvin Cook, credit to him. That run, and it was blocked up well, but that, I think it was an 81-yard touchdown run. That 81-yard touchdown run took that game from, oh boy, this isn't going well, to, oh, okay, they've got at least an outside chance. I mean, that shifted, that single play, I think, shifted the whole mentality of that game completely from they're probably dead to, okay, they got a chance.
Because it's the way it happens. Because one, you score in 13 seconds. You don't need a 6-minute drive that eats up the clock. And two, that just takes the wind out of the other team's sails when you're leading big and the guy pops an 81-yard touchdown run like that. I mean, imagine what that did to the Vikings sideline, and conversely what it did to the Buffalo sideline. They're probably like, okay, this thing's not over. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I mean, he showed great bursts there. Wasn't getting much before then, but Jefferson had a crazy good block on that, and then
he's good.
Dalvin made the one guy miss, and then just outrun everybody. So, that's the thing. This team just has a knack for making that play when it has to be made, and it's a trait that good teams have, right?
Yes.
I mean,
2009 team had it.
Part of it is, Judd, because they got the skill guys to make it.
Yeah.
On both sides, I mean, the Patrick Peterson. I mean, those are great plays that he read just perfectly.
Prediction for Sunday, Cowboys. What do you think?
I think they win. I think the Vikings. I do think they'll bounce back. I think because of their experience and the veterans they have, I think they'll bounce back and play well. I think U.S. Bank Stadium's just going to be unhinged.
325. Get your cocktails, baby.
It's going to be unhinged, and you got to introduce the offense last and have Jefferson run out the last one more set.
Unbelievable.
And then, the Cowboys, after, blowing at the Green Bay, and I'm sure there's maybe not finger pointing, but frustration there and kind of letting one slip away. So I like where the Vikings are at. I think they win. I think the home crowd is going to be a huge factor for them. And so I just think they keep it rolling.
Great stuff, Chipper. I'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Take care. Bye.